Hey, what up, y'all? It's your player partner, Cardo Mac, chilling here in Wilmington, California today with legendary producer and host of Rhodium Radio, 28 the Wizard.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. You know what? It's weird because I usually do all the interviews, so it's been a while since I've been on somebody's podcast or somebody's Chicano style TV for the first time. But I feel good doing it, man.
Thank you. Yeah, yesterday I was on yours, and it felt awkward being on the opposite end, being asked the question.
Exactly. Let's go. Let's jump right into it, man.
Cool. So I'll tell you about how I heard about you.
Okay.
So I heard about you not knowing that I had really heard about you, if that makes sense. So,
okay.
Pretty much for you produced for High C.
Correct.
And I wasn't aware of that album when it actually came out. When I heard about the song Sitting in the Park, it was for a compilation called Latin Lingo 2.
Yes.
And that's where I heard that song.
Okay.
And eventually with time, I believe you added me on Facebook, and you were promoting the Documixery.
Yes.
So I was looking into it, and then the name, it sounded familiar, where I've heard that name before, Tony A. So then I was kind of flipping through my CDs, and I was like, okay, that's him.
Right.
I just never had a face to it because I missed that album.
Right.
I see them. So that's kind of how I heard about you.
Yeah.
But so when does your career actually start? Or what? Actually, first tell us a little bit about your background. Were you born and raised here in Wilmington?
Well, both of my parents, I'm one of 10 kids, okay? I got 5 brothers, 4 sisters. The majority of my family was all born in Mexico. My mother and my father were born in Torreon, Coahuila. It's right beside Chihuahua, okay? And they came out here. I was the 7th child. My sister, older than me, from her down, were all born here in the city of Torrance. Though I grew up here in the city of Wilmington. When my family came from Mexico, they came from Torreon, Coahuila to Tijuana. From Tijuana, they came to Compton. So I lived in Compton until I was about 9 years old.
Were you born in Compton, or where were you born?
Even though we lived in Compton, we were born in the city of Torrance, in the Torrance Memorial Hospital. And it's funny because a lot of people have always told me, oh, then you're from Compton. I can't claim Compton, bro, because I was only there till I was 9. I grew up here in the city of Wilmington, like all my life. So I can't claim Compton, bro, I was only there 9.
So as an adolescent, that's more what impacted your life.
Yes. And, but like I said, we grew up there, and I remember it was one night, the landlord came to our house, and I still don't know. I never asked my father, rest in peace, even though he's no longer here. One day, they kicked us out of our house in the middle of the night, and they just wanted us out.
That doesn't even sound right.
I know, and I remember my mother saying in Spanish because both of my parents didn't speak English, so my older brothers did. And I just remember my mother still saying, "Ese hombre trae una pistola. This man has a gun." Wow. So they literally came to our house, with guns, like, get out. And
you think they took advantage of the situation because your parents were immigrants that didn't speak English? Yeah,
of course. And my mom used to feed all the people that used to live, because we used to live next to some trailers. Ours was the only house. So we would feed up. People would come. We would feed them. And it's funny because every time they broke into our house, they always broke into our refrigerator. Our house was so small that we literally had to keep the refrigerator outside chained.
Why would your mom feed everybody? Just out of the kindness of her heart? Out
of the kindness of her heart. Like a lot of people used to, would know her. They used to call her Doña Hermila. That's my mother's name. And no tengo nada de comer. Tengo mucha hambre. Y trabajé como, I worked like 14 hours. My mom would...
Did she ever sell food? Because I know sometimes that's kind of common where people sell food.
Well, that's when she started. So she would sell like dinner plates.
Out of demand. The food was so good that people were coming.
Exactly, bro. So, but I think, bro, that maybe the landlord found out about that and then just figured, let's get these guys out of here. So it's a good thing because from there, that's when we moved here. So, and I liked it a whole lot better here. Yeah. So.
Well, why did they move to Wilmington specifically? Just because they got kicked out, or was there close to their job or something?
I don't know, bro. It's funny because as a kid, my father was one of the first guys that I ever seen at 1 year old. I believe I was 1, or if not a little bit younger, who had a camcorder. Back then, I'm 53. I was born in 68. So back in the 60s, my dad already had a camcorder. And the very first footage that I ever saw of myself was at Banning Park, which is 1 block away from me. And I'm just a little boy, in a walker. And then, they're trying to teach me how to walk, or they're playing with me or whatnot. So I would always ask my dad, why did we used to go to Banning Park? Oh, because I like it. I like Wilmington. It was nice and peaceful. This was, again, 60s, 70s. But today it is predominantly all raza here. When I grew up here, when I moved here, there was whites, there was blacks, there was Filipinos, there was Samoans, there was Mexicans, there was everything.
Yeah, you mentioned it was peaceful, but from my memory, because I used to come here when I was a kid too, and I remember it being pretty violent.
Right. Okay, but around what years though? Because
80s, 90s, yeah.
We'll get into that. Yes, that is very, very true. But I guess as a kid coming here, my dad would say that it was peaceful because I think of the different ethnicities that lived here. It just wasn't all raza just yet, you know. But yeah, I believe he decided to move here because of that, you know, and it was better schooling. I remember because when I was in Compton, there was a school called Laura Street School, elementary school, and it was me and maybe my family, maybe a handful of people that were raza. Everybody was predominantly black. So when I came here and I see blacks, Filipinos, Samoans, you know.
That's what I remember, a melting pot of different people.
Yes. So I like that I made friends from all different nationalities, bro. So.
And I remember my cousins would tell me that too, because where I grew up, it was a small town. I was telling you
Right.
in Fireball, and there was nothing but Mexican people there.
Yeah.
And they would tell me, that there's a lot of black people and Samoans, and I didn't know about those cultures because I was a kid. And they would kind of, explain to me about
Right.
different backgrounds and stuff.
Yeah.
So like that's what I remember of the town. Because when we would come and visit my family, we were from that small town, and my dad didn't like to drive in the LA traffic, so we would take the Greyhound, and my uncle would pick us up in downtown LA. And then, what I remember of Wilmington was there was some apartments that lived across the street, and there was always drama going on in those apartments. I remember shooting, stabbings. You would always see the cops right there. When I think of Wilmington, that's what it reminds me.
And you
of.
know what? I mean, I don't know if you want to get into that now, but in the 80s, that was, I believe, the worst. I think it was even worse than the 90s, even though the early 90s was really, really bad. But in the 80s, that's when the crack epidemic started. And it literally destroyed everyone. And there were people that made money. There were people's lives that were destroyed. The gang violence went up, etc.
Were you a teenager at that time?
Yes, I was. And then that's when...
Did you comprehend what was going on? Like, were you aware of the
Yeah,
the
because
crack era?
I was doing it. And when I say, and let me clarify, when I say I was doing it, I was not only, slanging it, I was a nickel and dimer. And the reason why I consider myself a nickel and dimer, like I was curb serving 20s, 10s, 30s, 50s, whatever. Because when I met some guy on the street here, OG, and I told him that I want to start slanging. I was 15, 16 years old. And he said like this, you got two options, man. He said, dead or in jail, that's it.
He let you know from the gate.
But from the very beginning, bro, dead or in jail, that's it. That really made me think. I think if there were older homies that schooled the younger homies like that, maybe some of these younger homies would...
They'll think twice.
They'll think twice, bro. So I was like, okay, so you know what I thought? Then I won't be big time because I won't go to jail. I won't have enough. I'll just slang enough to buy...
Low key.
That's all it was, bro. For me to buy records, for me to buy a mixer, for me to buy the new Jordan 1s when they first came out, buy new music. That's all it was. I never...
Were you able to get away with it like that?
Yes, I was. I never, ever wanted to be big time once I found that out. Now, I had homies that were making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and these were like friends of mine. And I always said, nah, I can't do that. And eventually, they all got popped. They all did 15, 20 years and up.
Now, was your family aware of what you were doing, or did you ever get caught?
Yes. And this is what saddens me is because my mom found my dough. My mom found it, and my mom literally begged me, I say this, man, and I think this is what makes me grateful for my family whenever I think about my mother and my father is because, you know what, they raised me right. I did wrong all on my own. And I say that shamefully because she would always see me with new stuff. I would always come in with boxes of shoes or the new ones that costed $100 back then when the Jordans were first coming out. A crate of records, all new shit, a new mixer, and she knew that mixer costed $300. That was a lot back then. So one day she tried to have my brother, talk to me. Where did you get these shoes at? Where did you get these pants? And I was in a rebellious state. I'm like, who are you? Why are you talking to me like that? I started believing the hype of the street. But one day my mom...
So she found the actual drugs?
Yeah, she found the actual drugs.
Did she know what it was, or did she question you like, hey, what is this?
At first, you know what, believe it or not, she thought they were peanuts. Because this was brown dope. Back then, if you had a good dope, it was white. It looked like marble, you know. But this was brown. There was some cheap shit that I bought, but I was gonna get rid of it. And I had it in a shoebox in a closet. She went up there and she found a wad of money. And she burned my money and flushed my dope down the toilet after she showed
She
it.
didn't care.
Yeah, she didn't care. My mom was not one to like, okay, well, you know, I'll take the money. No, well, in her eyes, what was wrong was wrong.
Yeah.
So she literally fell on her knees, man, and she begged me to stop doing what I was doing. And being in a rebellious state, man, I didn't really care. I'm going to do what I want to do. And look, if there's anybody out there listening to what I'm saying, is that please listen to your mother or your father when they mean well. When they mean well, because...
How old were you at this period? Around 16?
Yeah, 16, 17 years old. And I knew my mother and my father loved me, but I was believing the hype of the streets. You know, you're going to come up, you're going to blow up, and you start believing your own hype. You know, yet my family was telling me this is wrong.
They were always hard workers.
Yes. Very, very hard workers. My mother, my father, very, very hard workers. All my brothers were hard workers. But, you know, I guess I had the mentality, like 50 Cent said, get rich or die trying.
Yeah.
It's the wrong mentality, okay? But, so I'm thankful. I'm thankful because I truly believe that even back then, God had his hand upon me where I never got caught with anything. I've been pulled over by cops and I had an ounce in my pocket and they never found it. I'll show you later how they never found it, but I had it in my pocket and they never found it. My house got raided and I had just left. And then the cops come and then they raided my house. They only found like a small half ounce because my brother had it. You know, so he went to jail, but I didn't. So I was always like getting away somehow, man. You know, it was weird, but I'm thankful for that.
What do you think influenced you to do that? Because say like our parents' mentality is a lot different than us born here.
I'll tell you what it influenced me. Living here, you saw not only if you were Chicano, or if you were black, Samoan, or Filipino, you saw all these ballers. Gold Danes, you know, Chrome Danes, you know what I'm saying? Impalas, Regals, Cutlass, Monte Carlos, graphics, you know, and they had all the girls. Then you watch Scarface, you know, first you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the women. That was the mentality that was instilled in us.
And it was easy.
And it was easy. And then it's funny because you start doing that and then you start seeing all these things start coming. Then you start thinking to yourself, it's fucking true. But the sad reality is a lot of people don't realize that people would kill another person just to take what he has. People were getting killed for those things. People were getting killed for the money you had in your pocket. People were getting killed. So it was a lifestyle that you had to constantly look behind your back. And for years, even after I stopped, I would hear a siren. I would always tap my pockets or look behind me. Because you couldn't get rid of, shit, do I have anything on me? You know, even
just paranoid about it, or
yes.
It was just became natural to do that.
I was straight legit. I had a record deal, and I would still look, okay, where's the easy way out whenever I walked into a restaurant? It was just hard for you to get rid of that mentality because you were raised with it. But I think seeing people have it, having the girls, having the cars, having the clothes, and you have a paper route, you know, where you deliver paper to people's front doors. That's not going to get you any money, you know. But I would rather have that than having a short life or going to jail.
So that's what the OG drug dealer told you.
Right.
So that stayed stuck in your mind.
Yes.
So at some point, like, what made you want to start getting into production, the music end of it?
I always loved music. I was in 6th grade, and
so before hip hop, like, what would you listen to?
All funk. Let me give you some ideas. And this is all because of my brother. My brother was DJing at a club in Long Beach east side of Long Beach it had 3 different names because 3 different owners. Noah's Ark, and then it changed to Infinity, and then Grand Central Station. So they just changed the name, but it was the same club. He used to come home with Prince. He's the one that introduced me to Prince. I'm still a huge Prince fan.
So you met Prince face to face?
No. What I'm saying is I went to his concerts.
Okay, just to his music.
I went to his concerts, but I never actually met him. And so Prince, the Barcades, Earth, Wind and Fire, Cameo, definitely Cameo. Of course, Funkadelic. man, I can just keep going on and on. But it was that kind of music that I was raised with.
What was it about that music versus Spanish music? Like, say that your parents would be listening to.
My parents listened to a lot of cumbias, a lot of Juan Gabriel. You know, my mom would listen to him. My dad would listen to Los Panchos or to Pedro Infante, huge Pedro Infante. My brothers all listened to like Vicente Fernandez. And to be honest with you, I thought that was cool, but I was tired of it. It's kind of like growing up in a Mexican home, and you just want to try different food because you eat Mexican food every day. You know, the food is great, but you're like, sometimes I want meatloaf, sometimes I want a pizza, sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So it was like that with Spanish music. I'm like, I want to hear something different. So when my brother came in, like, boom, 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 I was like, what the hell is that? Oh,
It was funky. It was a sound plus it wasn't just in Spanish too.
Yes,
it was in English.
It was in English, and I was like, what the? Oh, that's Cameo. Oh, that's the Barcades, or that's Zap. You know, when I first heard,
So you got introduced to that right when it came out.
right when it came out.
I didn't get introduced to that until maybe like 10 years after it came
I
out.
was in 7th grade when I first heard More Bounce. And when I first heard the talk box, those sounds, and I think if you're producing a DJ, this should intrigue you. Whenever you hear some type of unique sound, you want to know what it is. Mm-hmm. You know, kind of like that song by Brick, Daz, you know, dum-dum-dum, wow. When you heard that as a kid, I'm like, what the hell is that? So I always wanted to find out, ask people, hey, what's that sound? Oh, I don't know. What's that sound? How did he do More Bounce in that robot sound? That's what we used to call it, the robot sound. And as a kid, I was always intrigued. I was drawn to that type of music, bro. You know what's funny? And I know people are going to wonder why I say this, but this was always told to me by black people. Because of my taste in music, my black friends would always tell me, you should have been born black. Seriously. And I was like, what the hell? Like, are you serious? You're like one of us. And I was like, I never saw myself, because I look at my mother, my father, we're Mexican,
But you were accepted for whatever reason.
For whatever reason, I was accepted. I was always into popping. I was taught popping by a lot of people know him by Turbo. He came on Breaking 1, Breaking 2. He only lived like 3 blocks away from me. He's only 1 year older than me. We went to junior high school together. We went to Banning High School together. Then he got into the movies. But before Turbo, his name was Michael Chambers. They known him on the streets as Boogaloo Shrimp. And then when he got into the movies, he was Turbo, the guy that dances with the broom. That was him. But I will say this. I hung around with him. He taught me how to pop. And then eventually I got into DJing. I got introduced to DJing at 11 years old because of my brother. Mm-hmm. He played a doo-wah ditty from Zap. And I said, what the fuck? The crowd just exploded. And he told me like this, you got to play that at the right time. And I didn't understand what that meant. A DJ knows timing is everything when you're DJing. When to drop that song. You don't drop it just when people start getting there. You drop the good shit right in the heart or in the heat of the night when people are already fucking jamming, So I got introduced to that, and that's when I knew at 11 years old what I wanted to become, what I wanted to do, and that was a DJ.
And you were also around a lot of iconic people, which we'll get into later.
Right.
And it was just a certain time period where it just all happened to come out.
Yes. Like for an example, there were at school, Wilmington Junior High School, they put up flyers that they're looking for a DJ to DJ noon dances, meaning so some kids maybe once a month, or I think it was once a month, they give up their lunch and they go into a hall and they dance. Somebody plays music. Well, I guess, the school didn't want to do it, but they said, we'll give people an opportunity. Whoever wants to come DJ, okay? I knew my brother was a DJ. I knew he had records. So you know what I did? I took down all the flyers so that nobody would sign up. Then I went and go talk to one. It was the dean who was in charge of getting the DJ. I went up to him and I told him, I DJ. And he said, you know how to DJ? Yeah. And I lied. I didn't know how, but I wanted to do that so bad. And he said, okay, come on, let me show you the equipment. He showed me a cassette player, 1 turntable, and a mixer with a round fader. And right away, I thought to myself, okay, I'll bring like 12 records because we only got like 20 minutes. I'll transfer those records onto cassette. I'll play them over here. Like I was already doing the math, if you will.
So this was all before rap, too?
Yes. As a matter of fact, my first noon dance, I played that song "Do It" by the Barcades. So you guys look up that year because that was one of the songs that had got everybody on the dance floor. And so I pressed play. play the first song, and then I just lowered the volume, played the next song, whatever. And that's how I went back and forth from cassette. Took off the headphones, put it over here, listened to the next song, queued it up, turned the fader, press play, and that's the way I did it.
That was self-taught, though. Nobody taught you how to do it. But you said your brother was a DJ, right?
He was a DJ.
Did he give you any pointers, or you know how there's sometimes siblings don't care and they don't want to teach you stuff?
No, but one thing he did tell me, he was like this: I'm going to give you the records. He said, and these are all great songs. You don't have to play any older stuff. He says, they're all new stuff. He said, you'll get everybody dancing. And it's true. After that, it's funny, man. I was no longer known as the wetback kid. You know, I was popular now because people saw me on the stage and I was DJing. Up to that point, you're a wetback. And you know why people used to call me wetback? Because I talk Spanish. So if you talk Spanish, you were Mexican. Back then, you were just a fucking wetback. Okay? I remember one time I was talking to one of my buddies. And I want people to be proud of who you are. That's why I'm sharing this. Because at that time, I wasn't proud of who I was. And I'll tell you why. Because all the popular Mexican kids denied that they were all Mexican. They would say that they were either Puerto Rican, Italian, or Colombian, or whatever. It was almost degrading to them to say that they were raza.
Why is that?
Maybe because they wanted to be popular, and being Mexican wasn't popular. You know? I'm just telling you what I was going through when I was in junior high school. They call it middle school today. So one day...
But that's weird. Being in L.A., it's mostly Mexican.
Not back then.
Especially in the harbor area.
Right. Yeah, not back then. And we're talking about very, very early 80s. Okay? And and even though there was a bunch of raza there, blacks, Samoans, Filipinos, whatever, of course the blacks were popular, Samoans were popular. Everybody was popular except us. What made me a little bit popular was that I was DJing and I had new records, okay? So one day I'm talking to my buddy, and he was from Mexico. He barely knew how to talk English. So le estaba hablando en español. And one of the guys that I was hanging around with turned around, looked at me, he goes, ooh. He goes, you're a fucking wetback.
You slipped.
Yeah. Yeah, I never would have thought that. But DJing, sad to say, made people see me different. The guys that hated on me, you're still a wetback. You know, I didn't give a shit. I didn't care. Of course, back then it was embarrassing, but the more and more...
But they liked what you were doing.
Yes, they liked what I was doing. And that kind of goes into, if I can just skip a little bit, because I want people to hear to learn something. Even in the early 90s, when I started producing, I will still look like that, bro, in the industry, because we all know that this hip-hop world is a black industry. We know that. Even though here in California, we support it. We are. Raza is hip-hop's economy here. We buy all the tickets. We buy all the merch. We buy all the music, okay? The thing is that when they would see me up on stage DJing for a black artist, what the fuck is this guy doing here? Who in the fuck is this guy? Oh, that's my producer. That's my he produces? I will still look like that to a certain extent. Yeah, it's very real, bro. It's very real what I am saying, and I'm sure some of you people out there listening to can experience this. But yeah, man. So after junior high school, I started DJing weddings, quinceañeras, you know, whatever my mother would let me go. You know, I remember there was a guy, rest in peace, Derek Ontiveros. He had the biggest mobile DJ system in all of the harbor areas of South Bay out here. Okay, and he saw me DJ one day. And he said, man, I really like you. I like how you play. Would you come and spin for me? Back then, that's what we used to call, you know, spinning records. You know, it wasn't called, would you DJ? Would you spin for me? All right, cool. This guy was making, bro, like $500, maybe to $800 a night. And he was giving me maybe $25, $30 a night.
And this is late 80s or early 90s already?
No, this is mid-80s. Mid-80s, bro. And
it just sounds crazy. The dollar amount. I mean, how much that was back then?
Well, because his system was immaculate. And the reason why his sound system was immaculate is because he used to own a nightclub. And the nightclub died, so he took all his 8 Cervin Vegas. The bass bottoms, he had the 4 top mid-range.
He got lucky. He got that equipment.
He got all that equipment. He had the disco balls. He had the lights. He literally he had an old, like...
A club on wheels.
A club on wheels. So people were like, I need him, okay? Music was loud. I mean, he was very, very professional. He was the first guy that I ever saw DJ with a beat counter. I don't know if you know what a beat counter is. It reads the beats per minute, like 105, 105, 106, 105, 106. And then on the other side, when you lay the needle down, all you got to do is match it with the pitch. And once it matches 105, 105, 105, now you can mix it because it's the same tempo.
So is that just for looks, or that's to help you out as a DJ?
I didn't know anybody else that used the beat counter. He used to use it to learn how to mix. Like, that's how he used to DJ. And his mixes were immaculate, but it was cheating. It was cheating, you know? Like I said, say you play Planet Rock. That beats per minute, it's 125. So if you play, let's just say, I don't know, a faster song like Jam the Box, whatever, by Pretty Tony. You put it on there, on the beat counter, it'll say like 120. Now you know you got to speed it up because it's got to match 125.
It's telling you what to do, yeah.
Yes. So once you hit 125 and it's 125, now you can start the needle over, start blending it. That's what he used to do. He didn't like it because he knew that a lot of people would say, hey, man, that's cheating. I did everything by ear. So, and many times, because I practice so much.
So that's one of your talents, that your ear.
That is by ear, and many times I didn't need headphones to do a mix. That's how good I got. And a lot of DJs understand this because when you put the needle on the record and you spin it, you can feel in your finger when it hits the groove. Then what I used to do with the fader, okay, that's it. Then I pretty much knew the beats per minute in my head. So when I'm doing this, I'm moving the pitch on the turntable. It's about there. So I used to like...
It just came natural to you.
It just came natural. Mixing came natural to me. So scratching was next. I was taught how to mix first, then scratch. So...
Me not being a DJ and not knowing anything about DJ, and you said about the headphones, that sometimes you didn't need the headphones. What's the point of the headphones? I always wondered.
Well, a lot of people do need them because you need to hear the record that's playing, because you can mix the song in the headphones before you actually go live with it, before the people hear it. Oh. That's why. So let's just say I have the headphones and I'm playing a song over here. I put the headphones. I got to find the right tempo that matches that tempo in my headphones. Once I find the right tempo, then I start the needle over and I'm ready. As soon as that record hits the break, you know, where you can mix it, then that's where you come in. So that's what the headphones is. But since I knew music so well during that time, I didn't need headphones. And people used to trip out on that shit. Like, how was that? Well, I already know my beats per minute. You know, I already know where this pitch needs to go and where this pitch is. And
was it from listening to it so much?
Yes, practicing so much.
Oh, practice.
That's
important, I think.
Very, very, very important. I used to get up every morning, bro, without even breakfast, sometimes without even getting dressed. I used to just be in my damn chonies just cutting and scratching in the very morning. Maybe for like, I would wake up 8 o'clock, and this is no lie. Sometimes till about 1, I would eat something, go back, practice till about 5, and then go hang out for the rest of the night.
That's how you become great.
Yes, by putting the time and effort into what you love and into what you want to do. I've taught plenty of guys how to do what I do and gotten really, really good. Here's the only regret. Those guys never, ever once, and some of them guys blew up, never, ever once mentioned my name.
Why do you think that is?
You know what? I wish I had an answer. Say for an example, let me give you an example. Say that you introduced me to podcasting. You taught me how to, how to spend my money wisely on a camera, on lighting, on the background, on microphones, on chairs. These guys probably just didn't figure, like, why should I thank him? You know? And I wasn't expecting like...
There's a little bit of jealousy behind it?
I think so, because this individual, I taught him how to DJ. I told him where to go get his turntables. I gave him my connect, where to go buy records. And I did that for multiple people, especially here in my neighborhood. And do you think any of those guys ever talk highly of me? No, they don't. No, they don't. People have told me this. Your heart is too good, man. You need to throw your heart away because you want to help people. Did I ever charge these people? Absolutely nothing. I don't charge for interviews. Many times when people have come up to me and said, "Hey, man, I want you to produce for me." You know what I said? I'll tell you what. I think you're dope. Let me give you the first 2 tracks for free. I'm going to produce these for you. And then from there...
This is when you started?
Yeah. And then when you get some money, then you could pay me, whatever. My mom used to always tell me, why do you do that? I don't know. I just want to help. I want to work. I want to help the guy out, you know? And then people start lying to me. Hey, man, you know what? I'm doing this project. It's to help AIDS victims. It's an AIDS fundraiser. I need you to do some tracks for me, okay? I did, for free. And they were dope songs. Then about a year later, I asked the guy, hey, man, whatever happened to that Ace fundraiser? Oh, yeah, it didn't go through, so I just threw them on my album. So you saw the swindle.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I was an idiot. It was because I was
genuinely trying to help somebody out.
Yes, bro. And I've always been that way. I've always been that way. So then when I did started charging, now they start bringing up, well, you did it for him for free. Well, and I'm like, shoot, but it's true, bro. I've always helped a lot of people. I've known DJs that have been big time on the radio. And you know who taught them how to DJ? I did. You know who taught them to those people that why they were on the radio? I did. Do you think they ever mentioned me? No, but they mentioned the next guy after. Why? I don't know, bro. I don't know. And I ran into some of these guys and actually reminded them. Man, remember me? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
You know what? On one guy, I told him like this. You remember where it all started, right? And he goes, yeah. In my bedroom, and my mom made us tacos dorados. Remember that? Yeah. Remember I taught you how to put the needle on the record? Yeah. Just out of curiosity, man. Why can you just never mention my name when people ask you how did it all start for you?
I don't know.
No, here's what he said.
Well, he gave you an answer.
Well, what, man? Do I owe you something? Wow. Yeah, bro. And I said this. I would usually say no, but yeah, you do. And it's not money. It's gratitude.
At least acknowledgement.
Yes, it is gratitude, bro. And you don't even do that. So, yeah, I regret doing what I did for you. Yeah, bro. I've told people that. Not a lot of people, but I've told people that. For an example, I interviewed MC Pancho here. And I love that he opened up and said, you know what? I helped Raza out. But Chicano rap is a very ungrateful industry. I released a lot of people's CDs. I gave people money to use my house.
Yeah, I saw that interview. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, and he did. And he named them all to me. He didn't put them on blast, but he named them all to me. And he goes, do you think any of those guys ever... So I know how he felt.
MC Poncho's another one of those guys that has a big heart. He's a giver.
Yes, bro. And that's always been me. And I want to say this. People have taken advantage of my kindness, bro. And you know what I would rather do instead of confront them? I'd just let them go.
I'll just don't help them again.
Yeah, just don't help them again. Let them go. And, I've known people, artists, bro, that have gold records that I've DJed for them, toured with them. And they would tell me, hey, I can't pay you, man, today because, I didn't get that much money. I knew what he was getting because I'm not a fucking idiot. He was getting $2,500 for 15 minutes. And you know what I wanted? I wanted $500
per show. You mean
per show? You know why I wanted $500? Who do you think booked that show for him?
They wouldn't have had it if it wasn't for you.
I can't pay you. Okay, cool. Give me on the next one. Hey, I'm not going to be able to pay you on the next one either, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, bro, I put your show together. Nobody was hiring you. Nobody wanted to fuck with you. I called with the promoter. Can you get this guy? Do it for me. Flies in, 2 separate rooms, buy us our meal, even got us rental cars, put us on a tour because of me. And then this guy all of a sudden is trying to find a way to cut me out.
So I asked you earlier, how did you actually get into production? And it started off from DJing.
From DJing,
and then you started practicing, I guess, with production. And who was that your actual first, established artist?
Okay. I got into production. I was forced into it in 1987. And I'm kind of giving you a long story short because it's just so much there. 1987, I went to the Rhodium Swap Meet in City Gardena. I went to go visit the man who gave me my first job selling records at 11 years old. So I've been selling vinyl since I've been 11 years old. I worked with him for about 3 years. He left a different swap meet because this swap meet was already dying down. It was, the business was going down for records.
At the Rhodium?
It's a swap meet called the Vermont Swap Meet in City Gardena. Same city. So he said, I'm going to be going to a different swap meet. Can you come? And I was only 11. I said, nah, I can't go. Well, I was 13 at the time now. So he said, okay, cool, but I'm going to have to move. I said, okay, cool. So I just stayed at the Vermont till I was, 17 years old. Then I was a swap meet baby. Always grew up selling at the swap meets. Then I want to say either I was 18 or I was just about to turn 19, somewhere around there, bro. I asked my friend Angel, can you give me a ride to the Rhodium swap meet? Because I heard a mixtape that it was Dr. Dre saying, this is Dr. Dre. I'm here at the Rhodium. chilling with my main man Steve, and I'm about to cold tear shit up, and he starts scratching.
And you knew Steve.
Yes. So I knew Dr. Dre, not from NWA, because that didn't exist yet, but from the World Class Wrecking Crew. So I'm thinking, how does Steve know Dr. Dre, or is this the actual Steve that I used to work for? So now I'm a private investigator. I got to go to the rodeo and find out. Man, out of all days, talk about a coincidence. By the way, I don't believe in coincidence. I go to the rodeo, the swamp meet, and I see Steve, and he recognizes me. He hadn't seen me maybe since I was 13 years old. I'm either 18 or 19 at the time. And he sees me, and he goes, Tony, and he recognized me. And I look behind him, and Dr. Dre was right there. And I was like, holy crap, that's Dr. Dre. He was probably 22 years old at the time. I didn't know that he didn't have any money.
They were in the World Class Wrecking Crew, but did they have hits already, or were they just a group?
No. He had already left the World Class Wrecking Crew to start NWA. The guy that was with them was his cousin in the movie Straight Outta Compton. Remember, if you saw it, he left his mom's house to go live with his cousin in South Central named Sir Jinx, who produced No Vaseline for Ice Cube. So Jinx was there. He was probably about 16 at the time. So I met Jinx, and I met another guy named Eric. They introduced him to me as Eric, whom I didn't know was Eazy-E. And so I meet all these guys. I DJ for Dr. Dre there at the Swami because Steve always had turntables and a mixer. He gave me his number. This is where production starts for me. And he said, I just moved in with my cousin. Why don't you give him a call? He's producing a record for a guy named Dazzy D. He's a rapper. And the guy putting up the money is a guy named Kelvin Anderson. He's the owner of VIP Records in the city of Long Beach. Everybody knows that from the Snoop video. What's my name? So
he's dancing on the roof, yeah.
Correct. So I said, okay, cool. So I met Kelvin Anderson in 1987. We go to a studio. Jinx is producing it. Dazzy D's the rapper. I met King T there, and I met DJ Pooh there. DJ Pooh is Red from Friday.
Friday, yeah.
So I meet them there. But
a lot of people don't know that he's a producer, too.
Great, and a DJ. A lot of people don't know he's great fucking DJ. If you listen to all the early King T stuff, he did all the scratching on there. He did all the production on there. Mixmaster Spade, Toddy T did a lot of shit with those guys. The guy's a West Coast legend, man. So
I remember you mentioned earlier that people would kind of trip off you, that they didn't like that, the fact that you were Mexican.
Right.
But these guys just let you right in.
Right. See, and that was the beautiful thing, bro, that I can say about those guys, whether it was Yella, whether it was Easy, whether it was Ren, whether it was Dre. They never looked at me like if I was a non-black. Does that make sense? They just looked at me like...
You weren't the outsider to them. They just...
Yeah.
Like whatever.
They grew up around Raza. They're from Compton. This guy's a dope DJ. He knows Steve. Like he's like one of us type of deal.
You think it was just more of a respect thing, that they respected your craft?
I believe
what you were able to create.
I believe that was part of it. I do believe that. Because when they heard me scratch, Jinx told me, I need you to do some scratching on the record that I'm producing. So in 1987, that was the first time that I ever went into a studio and did scratching. And I still have that record. I'll show it to you after. It's for Dazzy D. The song's called You Better Think. And I did some scratching on it, and it was released through VIP Records. Now, this is before the whole Snoop, Warren G, Nate Dogg stuff all came up out of VIP. I was there prior, okay? So that was the first time that I ever did that. We did a couple of shows, nothing big. So Dre tells me, you know what, I'm not going to be doing the mixtapes anymore for Steve Yano because he was doing mixtapes. Well, do you mind taking over? I was honored. I was like, what the
That's hell? The first thing that came to mind.
Yeah.
It's an honor to do that.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? Like, he asked me. He goes, we'll still rap on them. So I probably am the only Chicano. And I challenge people. And I don't say this to be cocky. Anybody that has an entire collection, not just one or two, but an entire collection of NWA rapping on your mixtapes, where they would come to your house, write the 8-bar or 16-bar verse, and rap. Yo, what up? I'm here, Dr. Dre, with my man Tony A, blah, 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 with Steve Yano at the Rhodium, and that's what they would do. No other Chicano that I know has mixtapes when they were forming NWA. Let me name some of the people that were on my mixtape. Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Eazy-E, Michel'le, JJ Fad, Tone Loc, Young MC, eventually High C, DJ Quick, Second to None, AMG. I know there's one more guy that I'm missing. But look at everybody that rapped on those mixtapes. Eventually, every single one of them got a record deal, major record deal, and eventually every single one of them went gold and platinum.
At the moment, did you realize that you were creating something special, or you guys were just kind of...
No.
You were just there?
We didn't know. We didn't know. They didn't know. I had Arabian Prince here, a former member of NWA whom I interviewed. I had DJ Yellow here. And I asked a lot of these guys these questions. Did you guys knew what you guys were creating? No. We didn't know that this was going to change music, that it was going to touch the world. We were just trying to do what we love. And that was it. So I definitely didn't know that. I was just happy that Dr. Dre was rapping on my mixtape because I'm a world-class Wrecking Crew fan. I didn't know who Ice Cube was. I didn't know who Eazy-E was, but they were rapping on my tapes. And what it was, they were hitting the underground, if you will, and people on the streets. So when they came out with Dope Man and Gangsta and 8 Ball, I heard them on the Roadie mixtape. They were saying some of those verses on my mixtapes before they ever hit on vinyl. So I'm very proud to have been a part of that, man. So my roots go back to NWA. And when I say that, I don't say I was a part of NWA. I want to make that clear. But it started there.
So at the time, East Coast rap was already out, right?
Yes.
So you were probably somewhat influenced by that.
Big time. And so was Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre was loved a lot of East Coast. If you listen to a lot of the early, let's just say the first Eazy-E album, the second Eazy album, there was a lot of samples that were influenced by the East Coast, mostly by the Bomb Squad, Keith and Hank Shockley, who produced Public Enemy. So he really liked their stuff. You know, he liked EP&D, De La Soul. All those dope-ass groups were already out back then. But when they came out, I mean, if you listen to the bottom beat of Dope Man, okay? Boom, boom, to get that shit. Those kicks and those snares were from a record called The Big Payback or Payback by Roxanne Shante.
Samples?
Yeah, produced by Molly Mall. He would just take the kick, the snare, the hat, and create his own shit, add some scratching to it. So it was really like boom bap with some West Coast shit on there. That's what that was.
So why do you think they would get little samples like that instead of creating it on their own? Was it just easier?
Well, because a lot of times it's hard to recreate a certain kick. What I mean by a certain kick, a certain drum.
I mean, the average person's not going to... They're not going to be able to tell.
Right.
But you have to, I guess be really into music to
keep in mind,
hear the
hip-hop
difference.
started with sampling because we weren't musicians. We weren't keyboardists. We weren't, drummers. So we take a boom, boom. That shit is dope. I like that, the snare. So now you form that on a drum machine. Now you have boom, 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 boom.
Build. Yeah.
You build. So that's what we do there.
So eventually you start producing on your own. And who was the first established artist that you produced for?
Oh, man. Okay, well, obviously High C wasn't established yet. I met High C at the Rhodium, okay? And the reason why I met him was because NWA, this is 1988 now, they were going on the road. They were going on tour. So Dre tells me and tells Steve, we're not going to be able to rap on the mixtapes anymore. Whenever we get a chance, we will, but you got to find somebody else.
He's somebody else that was going to take over.
So Steve tells me, there's a guy in the back. He's a blood. His name's High C. He's from Compton, and he wants to rap. He's got a cool voice. Maybe you can go and listen to him. He had a high-pitched voice. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of Eazy. I wasn't really too much into his rap. He was 16 at the time. I thought he was young. I thought he needed a little bit of development, but I just said, fuck it, let's do it. So he rapped on a couple of mixtapes. Started building a fan base. About a year later, Steve walks into my house. We're getting ready to do a mixtape. I had 2 compilations called Aslan Oldies. I buy everything doubles. So I had the song I'm Your Puppet, and I'm going back and forth on the turntables, and he's just freestyling some raps. Steve hears us, and him being a oldie collector, because that's what he collected. That shit is dope. That shit can work. And I was like, what do you mean? We need to do a full song. I'm not a producer. High C said, you know what? Let's just try it. Okay. We did it on an 8-track, that song. Actually, a 4-track. I'm sorry. We did it on a 4-track. High C rapped to it. if you listen to it on the mixtape, that song was probably like 5-6 minutes long, bro. Like it was long, and 3 verses. So what happened was, we start selling it. Well, we don't. Steve does.
Let's talk a little bit more about Steve Yano. You said he's a Japanese vendor, right?
Right. Yeah.
Was he? And he was an oldie collector. You said.
Yeah.
Was he born here in the United States, or did he?
No, his family was born in Japan, obviously, with his wife Susan. Their family, so they're like, I guess, first generation, I guess, Japanese, like the way we say Mexican American, they're American.
Japanese American.
Yeah, Japanese American. So yeah. And he loved oldies. He lived in the city of Whittier. Obviously, that's all raza out there. So he grew up listening to oldies, you know. But so when he heard that I'm Your Puppet, he just thought like, it's a no-brainer. Let's do it. So
what do you think made him invest in? You mentioned earlier that High C was 16.
Yeah.
And these young people, and a sound that hadn't been put out there yet.
I think that's the reason why. Steve was, to me, in my opinion, he was a visionary. He saw things. For an example, he saw a black artist and a Chicano, and he thought, hasn't been done.
Because that's kind of risky too. You said that High C was a blood. You said
right. And here's the thing. And he was an active blood at the time. You know, he was still out there doing his thing. The crazy part is that before he ever invested money, he wanted to see if that song would sell. And he told me, I sold thousands of those cassettes. So that's when he hit me back up, and he said, like 2 months later, and he told me.
So that was just like a single that he was selling?
No, it was a mixtape. We put that song at the very beginning, and then after that, we would just play regular songs, and I would mix them and cut them and scratch them and stuff. So about 2 months later, he hits me up and he goes, bro, I need you to work on another song. That's what he said. And I was like, I don't know, Steve. So he came through. Throw on another oldie, man. What's some of your favorite shit? So High C was right there. We're here in the city of Wilmington in my bedroom. So I just took out the Aslan Oldies because it was a compilation, and I just turned it on the other side, and Sitting in the Park was there by Billy Stewart. And High C goes, I like that one. All right, cool, whatever. My mixer had a sampler. So what we did, I sampled the bottom beat. It was a song called by the Honey Drippers called Impeach the President. So it went like, so I just looped it, and then I just threw in Sitting in the Park over it, and I had to write it. When I say write it, I had to stay on time. And so we did it, and then High C just started with, oh, what shall I do? Sitting in the
kind of freestyling too?
Yes, like waiting for you, and then when he goes right here, throw in that part, sitting, and I was like, all right, fuck it.
Kind of putting it together in his head.
Right. I said, all right, cool, you know. And he sold that one, and that got the attention of Disney. They came to the swamp meet looking for us.
What?
Yeah.
How's that?
Disney.
What connection was it with Disney and the swap meet? How did that come into place?
Okay, here's the story. Disney has many companies like Touchstone Pictures. Disney owns that.
They're the ones that put out Blood In, Blood Out, right?
Right. And I have another story for that one as well. So they wanted to open up the record label, but obviously they're not going to call it Disney Records, so they came up with a name called Hollywood Records. And then they came up with one called Hollywood Basic, where they would sign East Coast groups. Hollywood Records was more of a, if you will, more like a poppy type of label. Like they would have signed Britney Spears if they wanted to that label. So somebody, I guess, when they found out that Disney was looking for X, they shot him our mixtape. I don't know who it was, but this guy, Stewart, comes to the swap meet, and he says, I'm looking for the guy who made this tape. I just happened to be there. Steve was behind his records, and he said, why? What's going on? We thought they were there to bust us for selling bootlegs. Oh. And then Steve just says, well, he made it. I think he said it innocently, like he mixed it, you know. And then I said, I made it, but he sells them, you know. Yeah, you know, I was thinking
it was like a raid or something.
Yeah, that's what we thought, because back then they used to raid swap meets for bootlegs. Okay, so then he goes, okay, who's the guy High C on here? Because I told Steve, let's name it High C. High C was an unknown at the time, but we'll name the tape High C.
Why that name? You said you chose it.
I chose it because I wanted to get his name out there. My name was already out there. Everybody knew Tony A, the Wizard, from the mixtapes.
Oh, I mean, High C already went by that name, High C.
Yeah, he already went. So I just said, let's get his name out there. So we'll just, it's kind of like Cypress Hill's first album. They self-titled it Cypress Hill. Okay, let's self-title this mixtape High C. So I said, well, I'll take it to the guy who rapped it. So he told us, I work for Hollywood Records and Disney, and I want to have a meeting with you guys because I want to sign you guys. So,
did you believe him at the time, or you thought it was BS?
I didn't. It wasn't until I saw his card, and I still have his card, Hollywood Records, and I was like, Steve, do you think this guy? He goes, I don't know. Well, Steve called him. He told us that it was real. You know, they want to have a meeting with us, and I said, okay, cool. 6 months pass. Nothing.
So you lost hope.
Of course, I'm back out on the streets again. I'm just slanging, doing whatever. This time it got worse because my mom found my dope again, and this time kicked me out of the house. Okay.
Oh, this is the second time.
Yeah. I had a broken wrist. I had a cast. I had a tank top. I had some green Ben Davis, and I had some black Nike Cortez. And my mom goes, get out of here. With the clothes you have on, you get out of here. I couldn't even grab a jacket or nothing. So I'm not going to get into the whole I was homeless and I had no hope. I'm not going to get into that because during that time, that's when I got some of the best, amazing news. It's almost like I hit rock bottom, and then all of a sudden I was on top like the next day. So I was probably in the street maybe going on maybe 2 weeks. And then finally, my boy pulls up next to him on his motorcycle and he says...
You say on the streets, you mean literally on the streets? Or you
Yeah.
had like friends that you would kind of crash out on their couch? Or
Some of them let me crash, but that's where I found out where my real friends were. Because many of them, let's go out drinking, let's go out eating. Many times, not all the time, I would treat. Sometimes they would treat. But when it came time to finding out they were my friends, hey, bro, can I crash you? Nah, man. Hey, man, can I come over? Nah, man. Some did, some didn't. So I started kind of weeding out. But it was a very, very lonely time in my life, bro. Like, it truly, truly was. But I'm not going to focus on that negative because I did it to myself, okay, by doing something that I should not have.
you're disrespecting your parents' house.
Of course. And that's something for a lot of you kids to learn who are watching this. When your parents say no, it's not good, listen to them, okay? So my boy pulls up to me on a motorcycle, and he says, hey, man, Steve, because we were so broke now that we didn't even have a phone. But my manager, Steve, had his number because that's where I would call from whenever I would talk to him over the phone.
So what happened with the dope game? Because he said at first it was enough for you to buy like whatever you needed. Right. But now you're kind of broken. Like,
well, because when I went back, my mom burned my money, threw away my dope. I'm trying to go back.
So you would have been all right if you would have brought that all with you. Okay.
Yes, I would have been all right. I would have said, cool, I'll go stay at a room somewhere, whatever. But then when I try to get somebody to try to front me some, they asked me, well, what did you do with your shit last time? Why all of a sudden you want to get fronted and you don't have no more money? So it just didn't go good. So my boy tells me, hey, man, Steve is going to be calling you in about an hour or so. Come to my house. He said he's got good news. All right, cool. So we hop on his motorcycle, go to his house. Steve calls. He's in Florida. And he says, Tony, how you doing, man? And I was like,
So he had multiple houses, or what was he doing in Florida?
Vacation.
Oh, vacation. Okay.
He was on vacation, and he just tells me, hey, man, I got good news. And I said, what's that? And he goes, Disney called us. And I said, okay. And I believe this was a Saturday. He said, I'm flying back in tomorrow. I'm going to cut my vacation short. We have a meeting with them on Monday. They're offering us $140,000 for an album. And I was like, what the hell? Are you serious? Yeah. And
so that was who, you, High C, and Steve, like as partners?
Yeah. Well, of course, he was our manager, so he was getting his manager's fee. So then I said, he tells me this, Tony, all this is because of you. Steve never, ever lied to me about that. He said, all this is because of you. And I told you, I'm going to ride with you. You're a talented guy, man. And I told him, Steve, man, I'm homeless right now. And he told me like this, go home and make these right with your parents. Get some food in your stomach. I'll take care of you on Monday, whatever you need. He said, we're about to make some money. And I was like, so I went home, bro, and I made things right with my mom. And I apologized to them, and I told them the good news. They believe me. He drove all the way from Whittier to Wilmington to Burbank. And they offered us $40,000 for the first single. And he said,
was that like a signing bonus, or what was that?
No, $40,000 was just, we're going to start off as a single and see if it sells. Then if it sells, then we give you $100 for the album. Well, we went ahead and did it. I told him, bro, I don't know how to produce. I don't know how to produce. And he goes, well, I'm going to buy you a drum machine. It's going to cost $2,500. And I'm going to take you to Dre's house, and he's going to teach you, Dre's apartment, he's going to teach you how to produce. So
did they ever want you to be a rapper too, or
No.
you were just strictly a producer?
DJ and producer.
Okay.
DJ and producer. And went to Dre's house, and he showed me how to sample everything, bro. So I kept going back to the studio, and I was watching, and little by little, I started putting together the album, bro.
So you were still cool with Dre at that time?
Yeah. And it was funny, man, because they were already on tour and stuff, but at his apartment, he literally had nothing. Like,
that sounds crazy to hear that.
I know. He literally had nothing. So I was looking for a table to put my drum, my mixer, my turntable, my records, put it on the floor. So me and him literally got on the floor, bro, and he started teaching me how to sample. And I was like, fuck. And I have a photographic memory, bro. So I'm able to remember everything. He goes, sure you don't want to write these things down? No, bro. Just show me from the very beginning how to turn it on. How do I get the sounds to come up? How do I sample? So he taught me, maybe spent about an hour to 2 hours with me. And I remembered everything. And then after that, I started hanging around with his cousin Jinx.
Was this like a regular basis, or that was just that one time?
It was just that one time. But he tells me, go to the studio, you'll see me work, and you could pick stuff up. Better yet, I called up Jinx, and I said, bro, I want to go over. I want you to teach me. Okay, cool. So I had Dre, I had Sir Jinx, and then I eventually ended up meeting DJ Quick. And I learned from 3 of the best, bro. 3 of the best in the game.
Who can say they did that? Especially being Chicano.
I know. And you know what? And they always showed me love, bro. This is for another story. The only time that I ever got shit in this industry was from my own people. It wasn't from the blacks. It was from my own people.
Why do you think that is? Was it for producing with the blacks, or what was it over?
Why are you fucking with blacks? That type of shit. And then when I started working with Chicano rappers, it was the fucking worst. It was the worst. And I'm not saying that like it's bad working with Raza. No, it was bad working with those individuals. I'm not trying to say
certain individuals.
Of course, they didn't want to fucking pay you. They thought this was a wheeling deal. Like, well, bro, how much you give me for a beat, homie? How much you charge? Bro, these guys had record deals. I dealt with their managers. If I gave them beats, if I DJ'd for them, I got paid everything.
Well, they shouldn't really have been even in charge of that. They should have had the management.
Thank you.
Be talking business with you.
But in the 96, 97, 98, when I started doing a lot of stuff for a lot of Chicano rappers, that's when all that shit started, bro. And I'm like, fuck, bro, like this is terrible over here. A lot of these guys didn't have record deals. They didn't. Or they had independent record deals. Their budgets were small. So they were trying to nickel and dime you. Over here on this side, dude, we're performing stadiums. So
at the end of the day, it's a business. So why would you want to get less if you're trying to do that for a living?
Right. I'm trying to do that for a living, bro. But because I was getting paid, because I was getting recognized, I was coming out in the Source magazine. How many Chicanos have come out in the Source magazine? I can name Frost. I believe possibly Light of Shade of Brown, Cypress Hill, and me. I still have my Source magazines. Source magazine in the 90s.
So you were on the cover or featured in the magazine?
Featured in the magazine.
In the magazine.
How many? Like I said, how many other Chicanos can say that, bro? Back then, that magazine was like the hip hop Bible. You like wanted to be in there, So I think that's where people always said, "Well, how come you were always working with the blacks?" It had nothing to do with working with the blacks. It had to do with they took care of business.
And they were consistent. They were getting it out there.
Yes, bro. And they didn't treat me like, oh, you're not black, or oh man, you're Mexican. No, DJ Quick gave me his whole fucking library of sounds. Take it. Dre, you want to use the keyboard? Coming over here, like working with Chicano rappers. Let me tell you something. Not all of them, but many of them were fucking drunk, high as fuck. I finished producing the beat. I need you to get in there. Drop those lyrics. They would get in there, bro. And I was like, do it again. Nah, bro, fuck it. It's good. I'm only going to sell it at the fucking car show anyway. That was the mentality. Working with black artists, they saw it bigger. I'm going to win a Grammy for this motherfucker.
So their standards weren't as high as a black artist.
And there's a lot of reasons why I think they thought that way, but they didn't think big. I was always taught, if you're gonna dream big. When I work with artists and I tell them, look, bro, if I've never been there, I can't take you there. If I've never had a major record deal, I can't talk about one. If I went to the lot and I bought a brand new Mercedes Benz, bro.
That's how well you got paid.
At 23 years old, living by the beach. I moved out of my neighborhood for about a year and a half. It didn't even fucking matter because I was over here every fucking day anyways. But that's where I lived. Okay, I was taking care of my family, my children, and bro, like it was all love. You know, I remember this guy was taking care of me. Hey, man, I got another $5,000 for you. I need you to come put together a show tape for Moke and Step, BG Knockout. I need you to do dominoes. I need you to choreograph domino show. I used to do show tapes. Give me their music. I did a lot of stuff for a lot of groups, and I always got paid. Coming over here to the Raza.
Why do you think they kept coming back to you?
Because number one, I loved doing they knew that I loved doing what I did, okay? And I always hooked them up. Like I give them some dope shit. Come out with this intro song. Do only one verse. Don't do your full song.
It was the creativity that you put into it.
They saw that, bro. They saw that. Every once in a while, you know, would you come DJ for us? Fuck it, let's go. We'll take care of you. Okay, cool. Before I hit the stage, I got paid.
They never asked you to do it for free as a favor. Yeah.
Never, bro. Never, because they knew that this was a business, you know. And so people always tell me, how come you don't fuck with Raza back then, bro? I'm not getting paid. I'm not. Let me give you one example. There's one guy came to my house and he asked me, "I need you to produce a record for me." Okay, no problem. I'm not going to say his name, but he's a very well-known artist. How much would you give me for 10 songs? How much would you charge me for 10 songs? And I said, bro, I charge $2,500 a track, a song. Well, I don't have that, man. And he pulled out the Raza card. You know, we're Mexicanos, homie. We're supposed to look out for each other. And I go, really, what you're saying, do it for the culture. In other words, give me a cheap-ass price. So here's what I'm going to do. Give me $1,000 a track, $10,000. I want $5,000 up front, $5,000 when I'm done. Shit, man, you're going into my pockets. And I was like, okay, then don't do it then. You know, I'm not going to do it for free. Dude, at that time,
he's coming to you. You're not asking him to produce for him.
At that time, I was making $5,000 a track on the streets doing it for a black artist, bro. They had record deals, so they had budgets. So I'm doing 10 songs for $10,000. When with them, I could do 2 songs and make that. That's just my connections were in the 90s. So I said, okay, dude, give me $5,000 before I get started. So he gave me $5,000. Finished the fucking record. Never heard from the fucking dude again. I go to the record store and it's in there. Call this guy, bro. I told you before you release it, you got to give me my fucking money. I finished this record like 3 months ago. Where's my fucking money? I wasn't really hurting for the money, but it was
the principle.
Yeah.
Principalities.
You know, so I just told him, and he started yelling at me, what the fuck? You think I'm no fucking good? Well, what the fuck? You think I'm broke? And I said, look, bro. And then he called me out. What's up? You want to go heads up? Yeah, I do. I said, I'll tell you what. First, give me my money, and then we'll go heads up. Nah, fuck you, punk. Fuck you, blah, blah, blah. So, never paid me. 6 months later, passes by. I ran into his girl, and she comes up to me. She didn't know what was going on, you know. And she said, hey, it's surprising to see you here early. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. I was at the mall. Yeah. She goes, oh, yeah, so-and-so just got back, 6 o'clock this morning. And he said, you guys had a late session. I wasn't with him. I haven't talked to him. And I just told her, I haven't talked to that guy in months. He stopped paying me. And I don't want nothing to do with that guy. And then she was shocked. What? Told her the whole scoop. Gave her my address. Same day she came and paid me my money, bro.
She paid you?
She paid me. Huh. She paid me. That is what I was dealing with some of these. And I say some of these Chicano rappers, bro. I've never had to deal with that, bro. Never. And then to pay me less, well, I showed that track to my boy, and he said it wasn't that good. He said he wouldn't pay $1,000. I'm serious, dude. I'm telling you this. I'm not saying this to make our people look bad, but those were the guys that I was dealing with, bro. And all these were somewhat established artists. Today, guys offer me $50 for a fucking beat, bro.
Right now, in these times.
Hey, I'll pay you cash, homie. Or what's your cash app? I got $50 on a track. I won't even fucking reply. Honestly, bro.
Well, that's an insult to slap in the face.
Yeah, bro. So
what kind of offer is that?
I know. I know, bro. But that's where I'm at. But I got to produce a lot of dope songs for a lot of dope Chicano rap artists. I just wish they thought bigger. So.
Let's talk about music videos now.
Okay.
So you're already in the industry.
Yes.
Which music videos are you actually in?
Okay, well, one thing, I met Jerry Heller, and I have to say this. I met Jerry Heller in 1988 backstage at an NWA concert. Again, how many other Chicanos can say they were backstage with NWA at their only LA performance? Okay, I was there. I met Jerry Heller there. One day he told me, make sure you get your face in every video.
So he knew you were aware of each other already. Yeah.
Right. Make sure you get your face in every video. But I was one of those guys, bro. Like, I was invited to Sunday afternoon music video, Lighter Shade. I just didn't go. I was just one of those guys. Like, next time. Why? I don't know, bro. I don't know. So we're filming I'm Not Your Puppet, our first single. We're filming at the Rhodium because that's where it all started for us. We got a guy from fucking Australia who didn't even understand not only the black culture, but the Chicano culture. And it was terrible, bro. It was a terrible video for I'm Not Your Puppet. But Daza was in it. A lot of people don't know that Daza was in it. And that was her first video from what she told us. I took her on tour with us. Then for our second video, we did a song called Leave My Curls Alone. And then two guys that just got out of college, out of film school, the Hugh Brothers, Albert and Alan, who did...
legendary producers, yeah.
Yeah. They did Menace to Society, Dead Presidents, The Book of Eli, oh man, American Pimp. They did Dr. Dre's, Jimmy Iovine's documentary, The Defiant Ones. Their first video ever was ours. And they literally asked us, can you give us a chance? We want to prove to you that we can do a dope video. Okay, cool.
Why'd you give them the opportunity?
Because they were young and they were hungry.
You could tell they were hungry?
Yeah, yeah. And they were literally taking the time to convince us. Like, instead of saying, sitting there like the guy before when we got him, we paid him $25K for a bullshit video, and it was all black and white and nasty. These guys, like, we shoot with 35 millimeter, we shoot with this, we shoot with this. Watch, let me show you some of the demos that we've done in school. And I saw everything. I was like, cool, let's go with it.
You could picture it compared to what you had paid for the other one. You knew automatically it was going to be better.
And we didn't know who they were going to become. We filmed it at Venice Beach. Eazy-E was there. Sam Perkins from the Lakers was there. A lot of people showed up. So we filmed it, and the video turned out fucking dope. So our third single was Sitting in the Park. Can we do your next video? Yeah, of course. We did it again. Filmed it at Echo Park. I always tell people we were there before Mi Vida Loca. Okay? And another great success. So now we move on to the second album, and then High C decided to get somebody else. But I didn't come in a lot of video shoots back then, other than my own, was because I was invited. I just never went.
You weren't doing it for the fame. You didn't want to put your face out there. You were just there. Yeah.
Right. I didn't care, bro. The few videos that I was in, with High C or whatever, I'm thankful, that I was in them. But I was just not that guy. I was more of a behind the scenes guy. But yeah, man, you know what? But I was thankful that we met. Bro, we just met so many people during that time, and the business was always straight. It was always straight, bro. And then I want to say when I left, because the contract was over, 1997 with 96 from 90 to the end of 96.
That's a pretty long contract. Long period of time.
I did a lot of remixes, like for Queen, because Queen, us and Queen were label mates.
Was it a 7-year contract, or was it just like every 2 years you would keep?
No, it was a 7-year contract, and it kept me busy. A lot of stuff I produced, bro, that just never came out. Like, again, I was doing Queen remixes for them because they had signed Queen. This is right before the lead singer Freddie Mercury died. So I was doing. They were always paying me. Of course, it wasn't a lot, but they were paying me at least $5K and up. And a lot of times I would ask for demo budgets. I could literally ask, I want to request for a demo, give me $5,000. Say you were a rapper and I believed in you. I think this guy's a potential Hollywood Records, artist. So they would give me budgets, bro. So I had love there, okay? When I left there, that's when I started working with the Slow Pains, the Frost, the Nino Browns, the AOTs, the Little Robs.
See, that's where I heard about your production.
Right. And I produced a lot of songs for them, bro. Frost, Mellow Man, Tina Marie, Cypress Hill.
So this is all independent now?
All independent now. And I did a lot of Don Cisco, Man, I'm trying to remember. Like,
So at this time, you didn't have a full-time job. You were just producing was your full-time job.
yeah, and I was trying to get record deals again with other artists, but the labels weren't having Chicano rappers. They won't. They just weren't. They wanted the La Raza songs, the Sunday afternoon type of songs. Towards the end of the 90s.
Wanted it stereotyped.
Yes, of course. Well, they wanted something, if I can say it this way, they wanted something that they can sell. Remember, you gave me an example how you would bump Chicano rap, and sometimes some of these girls didn't like some of those lyrics. So they just wanted something like, I remember this one A&R woman said this, can I listen to it on the radio? Can I see a video to it? Can I hear it in a club? That's
It
what
has
they
to be
wanted.
a full package. Yeah.
And a lot of these guys were, fuck the record labels, because their mentality was sell it at the car shows, sell it at the swap meets. And I was always
It was
thinking,
more street mentality back then
Yes.
than the big picture.
and me coming from the big picture, it was hard for me to understand that mentality.
Settle for less.
I couldn't settle for less, bro. I was like, I don't get it, man. Like,
Especially from how you started, where you came from,
Right.
your roots.
right. So and a lot of those guys, like, they didn't like me because I was working with black artists. Bro, business is business, bro. Can you imagine owning a Mexican restaurant and only expect to sell to Mexicans?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
I mean, think about
Well,
that.
it sounds silly to say that.
Yeah. You want to sell to everyone. But they just thought, no, we just got to sell to our people. I'm like, bro, like, you got to think bigger, you know? I used to always think the international, think Europe, think Japan. But it wasn't until the late 90s that these guys started going to Japan and they saw that the world was a lot bigger. Mm-hmm. But a lot of guys kept, they love our culture, so they thought, I got to be extra cholo. I got to be extra street. And I'm like, bro, but that's just one market. Think globally. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was just that particular fan base.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. So I had my share of working a lot with Chicano rap artists. I've always strived and I always wanted to find where are our Chicano Kanye West, Chicano Dre's, the Chicano, 50 Cents, the Chicano Snoops.
Who did you see at that time
The biggest
In
rapper
those
out
eyes.
there at that time, bro, I'll be honest, Frost. He had a major record deal. Everybody knew him, not as a Chicano rapper, like he's the one holding it down right now. Meaning, there's nobody bigger than him right now. We're talking about 90s. There's nobody bigger than him. You know who I thought?
Do you think he was bigger when the Raza came out or when he was signed with Ruthless Records with Easy?
No, of course, when La Raza came out. But that he's still eating off of that song. That's how big that song is. Okay?
Even to this date, yeah.
Even to this day, it's a classic, bro. His delivery, that track by Tony G, who produced that track, is big, And let me give you an example. Let me ask you one question, okay? This is how hard it is to find a song like that. Name me another song, possibly, that is right up there, neck to neck, nose to nose, or if not bigger than La Raza.
A modern one?
Or, yeah,
We talked about that yesterday.
from a Chicano rapper.
To me, though, the one that hit kind of like that was Lean Like a Cholo with Down.
Okay. I would have to disagree with you because I think that, let me tell you why. And this is not to pick on anybody, because if he's eating off that song and he's winning with that song, you know what? More power to him, honestly.
But it could have been the time period, too, because social media was out by then.
Right.
So it was able to get out there.
When I first heard that song, Lean Like a Cholo, and I never even met this artist, but I respect him because, he's an artist and he's winning and he has a hit. I really thought that song was a joke. When somebody sent it to me, and showed it to me, I was like, wait, is this guy serious? Because out in the harbor area, a lot of people, when they found out that was like a legit song, they took it offensive. They thought that was a jab at laughing.
Clowning at the lifestyle.
Yeah, at the culture. It's almost the way some people look at Fools Gone Wild. Like, he's clowning.
Mocking, yeah.
That's how they saw it. I saw it too for a moment, bro. I really did. But again, I'm not going to disrespect. I never met the guy, so I can't disrespect him. But when I first heard it, for an example, Jenny 6ix9ine, that one song that got 11
Went
million.
viral, yeah.
Okay. When somebody kept sending it to me, and I just finally listened, and I thought it was a joke. I thought she made it kind of like for a TikTok type of shit, But somebody told me, no, she's serious. That's when I was like, what the hell?
That's what I thought too. It was just something to put out there.
You see, and that's how we saw, believe it or not, Lean Like a Cholo. So because we saw that like that, it's hard for me to compare it to La Raza.
What do you think was the difference? Because they're both still talking about the lifestyle.
Uh-huh.
But you think one was in a respectful way? Is that the difference to you?
Yes. I do believe that. I saw back then Sureños, okay? Big homies bumping La Raza. It was something prideful to listen to. Like, meaning like you heard that song with pride, like this is our shit. Now we have a voice. When other people heard that Lean Like a Cholo, it was different, bro. And I'm not even going to repeat what people were saying, but it was different. Like, it was not good. So that's why it's hard for me to compare that, you know. I mean, it's like me saying, who do you like better, George Lopez or Fools Gone Wild? That's how we kind of see it. Like, wait a minute. You know, one's a comedian and one's, people are saying is making fun of our culture. You know, one is putting down for the raza. Other ones are saying he's making fun of our lifestyle. So it's hard for me to say. I can't find another song up there with La Raza.
La Raza, did that go gold or platinum?
It went gold. That I know. He could have. I know he was given a plaque that he sold 5 million records. I guess all combined.
Combined, yeah.
Yeah, combined.
I think I saw that. I think that was with all his records, wasn't it?
Right, with all his records. But I know for sure that record went gold. The single could have gone platinum. I'm not quite sure, but I know he's up there. You know, so I have to give him his respect, and I give down his respect. He had a hit song. But if you're asking me to compare them, I just think, you know, I don't think no one, even a Little Rob, which I think is dope, has a song that compares to La Raza. I just don't. I don't think nobody else, but like you said, but that song was on the radio. It was big. It was really popular, you know.
What about Summer Nights? You don't think it was as big?
Summer Nights.
From Little Rob?
No, not at all. I don't think. Well, when I say compared to La Raza, again, I'm just giving you my opinion. And maybe because I was there when La Raza came out, and then we're talking about songs that came out years down the line, maybe I'm having a hard time, you know, comparing them. But I just remember when La Raza came out, it was huge, bro, because it was
the impact it had on the culture.
That's my word. The impact that it had on the culture. And I think these songs didn't have an impact, but they were great songs.
They were liked by people. They were,
yes.
You know, they got their radio play, but it didn't have the same impact.
That's my point. So I guess that's what, like, kind of like Mentirosa. Name me another one. The only guy that I believe compares to something like Mentirosa could be like a pit bull. You know, Lighter Shade was Sunday Afternoon, another big hit. There's still, you know, rest in peace, Bobby. Robert's still eating off of that. That's a hit, you know.
Latin Active?
Latin Active's a hit, you know. You know who I really thought was going to surpass all of them altogether?
What was that?
And it didn't happen. And I was very, very disappointed because I still got mad love for these guys. Proper Dos. When I did a couple of shows with Frost. And Proper Dos.
But they would rap a lot about being Mexican, too. You don't think that held them down?
Yes, it did. And I'll tell you who told me that. Steve Yano did. Steve Yano was their manager. Steve Yano signed them. Keep in mind, this is the Japanese guy who saw the future of Chicano rap. Think about this. They released a record. The feedback was this. It's too brown. It's too brown, and that's what he was getting.
Now, the feedback from who?
From the record stores that he was selling them to. Because he had a small distribution, but he was also a distributor himself. Like, everything was from Portland, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, all up north.
Oh, it was nationwide.
It wasn't nationwide. People were, but I remember even Steve Yano said, well, we didn't do this for the East Coast. We didn't do this for, you know, Philadelphia. We didn't do this. And I was like, all right, cool. Then he realized, man, you know what? We need some better music so that it can go out there. Because
who was saying that? Steve Yano?
Yes, after a while, Steve. Because with High C, even though we had sit in the park, I'm not publicly my crew, we went all throughout the U.S., bro. I performed in North Carolina, Detroit, Philadelphia, bro. You know, I've been all over the place with those songs. You know, yeah, some people say, "Oh, those songs are corny." Okay, cool, whatever. I still got paid. you know. But
I've heard interviews. I think it was Baby Bash where he's saying that he doesn't get the same love and support in the East Coast that he gets over here. It's just not accepted.
No. Even though we performed out there and got paid, our love was always bigger over here. Always. It's just the way it was. But, you know, I look for songs like La Raza, Mentirosa, Firme Jaina, Sunday Afternoon, Latinx. I look for those songs today, and I can't find them, bro. Meaning, I don't see Chicano,
Modern song like that.
modern songs, modern artists today producing hits. I don't see that. I just think they're just throwing it out. Is it good music? Yes, of course. Is it hits? Now, that's a different story. You know what I'm saying? So,
do you think it's the attention span of the younger generations nowadays? Where you just can't really, you know, a hit that will last for a long time, but the songs are just kicking out so fast.
And I think that's the mentality. Just kick it out. You know, it's more of you got to stay in the public's eye. You know, I got to constantly be posting on TikTok. I got to constantly be posting on social media. I got to constantly be Instagram. Bro, back then we released a record and we would work that record the entire year. The entire year.
As much as you could, yeah.
As much as you could. Release, if possible, you would get lucky if you can release 4 singles. 4 singles. We're pushing the first single
Per album.
Yes.
So one album would last you about how long? 2 years?
The whole year. At least a whole year of touring. And then around after that year, you start working on the second one while you're still doing shows for the first one. That's the way it works. I mean, great Chicano rap artists that come here, bro. Great music. And I'm thinking, this guy has a potential to be somebody. They show me their album. Fucking shit is dope. 3 weeks later, they drop another EP. I'm like, what the fuck? Bro, this one's not even old yet. Yeah, bro, but, you know, the way we do it, we got to keep pushing it out.
Because I remember I had a CD changer in my car, and I would keep, it was a 10-disc changer, and I had 10 albums in there. And they would last there for a long time, because I would listen to them for a while. But now with the digital, it's just kind of, you know, what's the next one? What's the next one?
I know.
The times just changed.
Times just changed, man. You know what? But one thing I will say this, and I said it when we did the verses, verse for verse. Raza's got talent. I just think we need to take our time and do it right. That's just my opinion. Coming from a studio with Dre, coming from a studio with Jinx, coming from a studio with DJ Quick, and I see the way they work and how they take their time, how they master their craft. I don't see that with our people, bro. At least with the studio sessions that I've been there with.
Because they still use the same format pretty much that they were doing 30 years ago.
Yes.
And the newer generation is just kicking it out.
See, and I try to do that with some of these guys. Like, there was this one female. When she came through these doors and I interviewed her, I saw something in her that I like. If she gave me 1 year to work with her, 1 fucking year, by the end of the year, she'll be fucking spitting fire, and I could get her possibly a major record deal. Major labels ain't giving out record deals today like they were giving it out back then. But
do you still have the plug nowadays
yes, I do.
To be able to?
Of course. Yeah. I just don't have anybody to take them over there because let me tell you why.
You're gonna waste your time, yeah.
I sat down with this female, very good looking female, because looks are important today. Okay, that's 1. Dope voice, 2. Writes her own lyrics, 3. Delivery, out of 1 to 10,
she could work on it.
She was probably a 6. She thought she was a 10. I told her no. She didn't like it, but I said, look, if you want to work with me, we're probably going to bump heads in the very beginning, but are you willing to give me a year? Don't release nothing in 1 year. Don't, because, but people are going to forget about me. Let them. Because when this shit drops, where in the fuck does she come from? Build up anticipation. I don't know if I can do that because people are telling me I'm ready to blow right now.
She believed the hype.
Thank you. And it never happened. It never happened because some people don't want to put in the time. They don't want to put... You know what I was going to do? I was going to take her to these major recording studios, people that I know, so that she can see how these guys work, and that could rub off on her and realize he's right. That's what separates men from the boys.
And what happened? She wasn't committed to doing that?
No, she didn't want to. She just said, right now I'm...
I mean, you would think that she would recognize that she's in a privileged position.
A lot of people don't give a shit. I'm just being honest with you, and I don't think they think they're being disrespectful, but I don't think they give a shit, honestly. And I just said, look,
You think they don't just realize what they have in front of them?
I really, truly believe that they don't realize that. They don't. I've introduced them with people that were
like me, I love the music industry. Well, not the industry, but the music. You know, I have a lot of love for it. So I know who's who.
Right.
And I know, you know, but as an artist, you would think they would know too.
For an example, she went ahead and ended up signing to an independent Chicano rap label. They released her record the next week. Like, and nothing. It dropped. It failed.
So she had the full, complete album already.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. They dropped it and nothing, bro. They did videos and everything and nothing. And then she tried to come back maybe like 6 months later. She said, I'm down. I said, the table, you know, the offer is off the table now. That's it. You release that garbage, and now that's under your belt. I don't want that. So, too late. I'm a very hard person to work with, bro. I don't ask anybody for an interview twice. I don't. Hey, man, I want to interview. Oh, right now, I'm in a good spot. Okay, cool. With all due respect, bro, if you tell me no, I'm not going to ask again. So, we're good. So, that's it.
Why is that? Why is your mentality like that?
Because of what you just said. Don't they realize the opportunity that's before them? The major record labels, the major radio stations are not knocking at their door. Hey, we want to interview you. And even if you did,
it's not in their time. It's not like, oh, okay, I'm ready now.
Right. It's not in their time. Here am I giving free promotion for you, to promote you, to push you, to almost shine light on your craft, on what you do. And you're saying you don't care, you don't need it? Okay, cool. Now, but here's the crazy part. They'll tell a Chicano like me no, but if Vlad or No Jumper, they'll run to those guys. They'll run. That's how Raza does us.
I've noticed that too, yeah.
Look, let's just be honest, bro. I don't know if this interview is going the way you expected it, but I'm going to give it to you from the truth. I'm 53 years old.
You're giving it raw.
Yes, bro. I'm about to be 54. I found out that the older you get, the less you care, bro. And you're
28's got no filter.
No filter, bro. Like, seriously. You know, who in the fuck is this guy? I'm sure somebody's probably saying that.
Well, you're keeping it real.
Yeah, you know what? All I'm saying is this. If I'm sharing my story, how can you say that that's wrong? This is what I went through.
It's your experience.
It's my experience, so that's all I'm sharing. So, yeah.